Breaking news today. Cuba rolls out the red carpet for Russian billionaires. 3 Russian banks have inquired about setting up shop on the island, and trade between the two countries has multiplied by 3 in the past year. The way has been smoothed out for us, and special treatment has been granted. The state of the relationship between the two countries is aptly illustrated by the words of Boris Titov, president of the Cuba-Russia Business Council, at the inauguration of the Bilateral Business Economic Forum this Wednesday at the Hotel Nacional in Havana. An advisor to the Kremlin reportedly told Reuters that the island has made a historic offer to Russian businessmen by granting them usufruct rights to land on the island for 30 years. He went on to say that these terms and conditions impact the long-term lease of land and the tax-free importation of agricultural machinery, the granting of the right to transfer foreign exchange profits, and much more. He also noted that the removal of bureaucratic hurdles was something they were anticipating. According to Sputnik, Titov, who has been providing economic advice to the Cuban government for months, has said that the DZH-Canel government is ready to provide more favorable conditions for Russian investors. Cuba is being transformed, mastering new rules for the interaction between the state and the companies, he said at the beginning of the meeting. So, for instance, they'll let Russian firms import technology duty-free and send the money back home to Russia, a perk enjoyed by no other foreign business owners in Cuba. Putin's advisor also mentioned the possibility of accelerating transportation between the two countries. According to him, in Soviet times there was a direct port and maritime connection, and they are analyzing this possibility with the owners of Cuban ships, i.e. the state. Minister of Foreign Trade and Foreign Investment Ricardo Cabreces assured reporters that trade with Russia is only going to increase. Nothing and no one can stop it, he was quoted as saying by Reuters. Russian Trade Representative Sergei Baldin told a British news agency that bilateral trade between Russia and Cuba totaled $45 million in 2022, tripling from the previous year. Almost all of that was spent on fuel and soybean oil. Putin's invasion of Ukraine in February 2022 completely reversed Russia's decades-long mistrust of Cuba due to the latter's failure to meet its debt obligations. Moscow had announced a few days prior that Havana's obligation to repay Russian credits would be extended until 2027. Russia's desire to have global allies, following widespread condemnation of its actions in Ukraine, and Cuba's efforts to revive its stricken economy have both been discussed in bilateral meetings since the conflict broke out. In January, the two sides came to an agreement to establish an economic transformation center with the stated goal of transforming the island's economy based on the development of private enterprise, a move that many non-governmental organizations, NGOs, have condemned as an attempt to transform a state economy model into the Russian market mafia scheme.